This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, Senegal and Japan, surprised, all right? We'll get into that. We're going to start off with that for the first segment. Let me tell you what else is going on today. Okay, we're going to talk about Kawhi Leonard, talk about a couple of teams he could go to, and see really wherever what team if he were to go to a team, if they'd be a threat to the Warriors. Okay, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Neymar leaving Brazil training today with limping off. He's with an ankle injury, I believe it was. All right, so we'll talk about that. We'll probably talk about that in the fourth segment, along with this Russia and Egypt game that's still going on as we're recording. Okay, and then for the third segment, we'll talk about a couple of young players in the NFL that I'm watching for. All right, and it's guys like Kareem Hunt and all that. So the younger guys who had decent seasons, now you're going to wait and see if they can elevate themselves to being top 5 players and whatnot at their respective positions. So something like that. All right, so that's how the show's going to go. Nonetheless, I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous how many own goals we've had in this World Cup. All right, Russia just scored. Like I said, as I'm recording this, the 51st minute right now, but Russia just scored off of an own goal from Egypt. Mo Salah's been playing all right. He's had a couple of not like big chances, but chances nonetheless to do something. All right, but nonetheless, that game's still going on. Egypt desperately need points here. I mean, no doubt. It's pretty much a must-win game for them, so we'll see. I mean, they played pretty well. I mean, Egypt's done well so far in this tournament. I mean, against Uruguay, only lost 1-0, and against Russia right now, they're putting up a decent fight. After Russia put up 5 on Saudi Arabia, but nonetheless, like I said, Egypt put up a decent fight, but they got to get 2, I feel. 1 goal is not going to be enough, given the fact that Russia will have 6 points, and you'd need Uruguay to tie. All right, so we'll see what ends up happening there. Like I said, we'll probably talk about the game once it's over at the end of the podcast, if it's over by that time. All right. But nonetheless, let's get into today's matches. Starting off today, we had Japan versus Colombia. All right. Talked about it yesterday. Colombia, on paper, is the best team of their group, but they're not that much better than their counterparts, Japan, Poland, Senegal. All right. It's not a shoo-in for Colombia to make it out, and that was proven to us today. Okay, so you had Colombia losing 2-1, and a downside to Colombia today was the fact that James Rodriguez had to come off the bench, given the fact that he was dealing with a calf injury. All right, I don't think anyone's really too sure about why until after, but nonetheless, obviously, if you're Colombia, you want James out there, given he's your best player. Okay, and he had an outstanding World Cup in 2014. So I was a bit surprised to see him not in the starting lineup, but then realized, you know what? I saw that he was out with a calf injury. Nonetheless, he comes in. Let's see. Colombia went with Falcao up top, Juan Quintero in, I'm assuming, James' spot. All right, Cuadrado. Carlos Sanchez to start the game. Not the best not the best opening match for him, I should say. All right. Espanol player, about 3 minutes in, boom, automatic red card. Okay. Obviously, like I said, not great. Gives up a PK, red card in the box. All right. Then you got Shinji Kagawa lining up to take it. He scores within the first 6 minutes of the match. Obviously, no James right now to start the game. Down 1-0 to Japan. Not a very good start. Now, yeah, you're playing 10 versus 11 for about, 87 minutes plus, 88 minutes, 89 minutes, counting stoppage time and all. All right, obviously that's not great. Juan Cuadrado comes out in the 31st minute, all right? And, I mean, just after that red card, it's just the cards that Colombia was dealt. You couldn't do anything with them. All right, the hand that they were dealt was a brutal one. All right, Cuadrado was out in the 31st minute. Wilmar Barrios comes in, but then in the 39th minute, about 6 minutes before first half ends, you got Juan Quintero scoring a goal, which makes it 1-1 for Colombia. All right, gives them hope there. And obviously, on paper, obviously it's difficult playing 11 on 10, but Colombia does have the quality, at least I thought, to at least make it a decent match, which I guess you could say they did. All right, but anyway, halftime comes. Juan Quintero, the goal scorer, comes out for James Rodriguez in the 59th minute. And James really didn't do too much out there. All right, he didn't have necessarily the best game. Finished with a yellow card. No goals, no assists, no key passes. Didn't complete a cross. Only completed 76% of his passes. All right, had no shots on target. I don't think, he had one shot. I think it was blocked by a defender. All right, 11 duels, only 2 of them were won. Dispossessed twice, or once, I should say. Committed 3 fouls. So, it's just not really what we've come to know from James Rodriguez. All right, and I'm watching right now. Mohamed Salah almost had a chance to score for Egypt. But nonetheless, like I said, James Rodriguez didn't do well. You got Carlos Baca coming in the 70th minute. He didn't really do too much either. All right, looking at Falcao, he had 2 shots on target, so at least he played pretty well, I'd say. All right, just couldn't get into the back of the net. And then you got, let's see how the game ended up finishing, obviously. Yeah, so you had Yuya Osako in the 73rd minute, give an assist from Kensuke Honda. They end up scoring, makes it 2-1. All right, and after that, you got pretty much Colombia fighting for their lives, basically 5 minutes of extra time, and they couldn't get it done. Okay. I don't blame, it's tough. Like I said, Colombia wasn't really dealt a great hand given the fact that they were playing 10 on 11 from 3 minutes on. All right. Obviously, if you're Carlos Sanchez, you got to be a lot better there. Let's see, who did Colombia leave on the bench? They left Uribe. I guess I like the subs that they made. All right. Yeah, I like the subs that they made. I like the lineup. It's just you'd hope that James Rodriguez was fit to start this match. All right, but nonetheless, it was a disappointment from Colombia. Looking at Japan, they always tend to do pretty well. Obviously, they're not guaranteed to make it out the group or whatnot, but they're going to give you a tough match, all right? They'll always give you a tough matchup, and that's exactly what they did here, and they executed well. All right, I believe, wasn't it 2014 World Cup? Actually, let's take a look at how Japan did in that 2013 World Cup. Actually, take a look at their past World Cup history, just given the fact that, like I said, Japan's a team who aren't really regarded as maybe like a second-tier team with like Mexico or anything like that, but nonetheless can do a job well done, I'd say. All right, so like I said, let's take a look at their World Cup history. And like I said, I'm almost positive that they did beat Russia on the last World Cup. Like I said, I have to double check it. But nonetheless, let's see, looking at it right here. So 2014, they didn't get out the group stage. Let's see, they finished with, I guess they didn't get a win. They finished with a draw. I'm trying to find their matches. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we got it right here. So 2014, actually, I was wrong. I think I must have been thinking of someone else with Russia last year. But nonetheless, last year they draw with Greece. They lost to Colombia. Colombia, knocked them out last year, so this is a bit of a plus for them, given that they get to beat them in their first match back. So yeah, they lost to Colombia, drew with Greece, lost to the Ivory Coast. 2010, they drew with Paraguay. Actually, they lost to Paraguay in the round of 16 in penalties. Beat Denmark, lost to Netherlands, beat Cameroon. So they've always done pretty well. I'd say 2002 they did well also, right? Beat Russia, beat Tunisia, drew with Belgium there. All right, lost in the round of 16. So they've never made it past the round of 16, but nonetheless, they're a team that's going to give you some difficulty when you're playing them. And obviously, Colombia came and saw that. And if you're Colombia, there's no guarantee you make it out the group now. Okay? Given the fact that you still got to play a decent Poland side and a very, very, very underrated Senegal side. All right, we just had Russia scoring once again. Denis Cherchev on fire. What is that, third World Cup of the tournament? Russia's looking pretty good. They beat Egypt. They're making it out the group. But like I said, I mean, Russia's surprising. Coming into this tournament, they weren't really playing too well in the little World Cup tune-up, so we'll see where they end up going. Like I said, we'll talk more about the game in the last segment. But nonetheless, like I said, don't sleep on Japan and Colombia. You got to play Poland next. That's going to be tough going against Lewandowski. We'll be talking about their game with Senegal right now. And you got to finish off with Senegal, who, like I said, is a very, very good team, I'd say. All right. Obviously not very good, like great or anything like that, but nonetheless, very underrated. All right. And looking at that Senegal and Poland matchup, you have Poland, who is ranked 8th in the FIFA rankings right now. All right, let me see. I'm looking at this Cherchev goal. Let's see what he did here. Crossed into the middle, or played into the middle. Oh, nice ball into the middle. Cherchev just finishes one-timer. All right, so nonetheless, like I said, we'll talk about that later on. But like I said, with this Poland-Senegal matchup, you had Poland, who was ranked 8th in the FIFA rankings. Senegal ranked 27th. And obviously, with Senegal winning this one 2-1, it's thought of as a big upset. All right. I wouldn't necessarily say it's an upset here. I just don't think people who have paid attention enough to Senegal or looked at the quality of their team. Okay, looking at their lineup, you got Niang, who I believe was a former Milan player, if not still. He plays with Torino now, but I believe he was a former Milan player. Yeah, he was a former Milan player. Okay, pretty much spent his entire career in the Serie A, was with Watford on loan for a tiny bit. All right, but nonetheless, he got a goal today. You got Diouf, who I feel is a decent player. Like I said, it's just people don't really pay attention to him. Diouf plays for Stoke City. You got Sadio Mane, obviously a great player there. Okay. And like I said, they just got quality. All right, obviously they're not the most technically gifted team, but they can do a decent job. All right, they do have players playing in some decent leagues also. Okay, so like I said, starting out the match, you had Thiago Sionek with an own goal in the 37th minute. All right, first half didn't really consist of much. You got a foul by Jakowiak, but nonetheless, like I said, Senegal up 1-0. Second half comes, 46th minute. Blaszczykowski has to come out due to an injury, so they bring in Poland. Poland brings in Jan Bednarek. All right, and then in the 60th minute, you have Niang scoring a goal, which made it 2-0. All right, Diouf comes off in the 62nd minute, and Ndoye comes on. And Senegal basically controlled the match, I'd say. All right, and then you got Russia up 3-0 now. Cherchev might be one of the best. I think he scored again here. It might have been one of their subs, but nonetheless, Russia is on absolute fire right now. It is ridiculous how good they are. All right, yeah, it wasn't Cherchev, it was one of their other players, but nonetheless, all right, Russia playing extremely well. So like I said, I mean, you had Diouf coming off for Ndoye. Milik comes off in this one too for Poland. And Krychowiak gets his goal in the 86th minute. Makes it 2-1. Senegal still up. And it ends up finishing that way. Okay, looking at the match statistics of this game, Poland had all the possession, 61% possession, 39-2. Senegal had 11 shots, 3 more than Senegal. All right, 4 of them were on target, 2 of them more than Senegal. But nonetheless, this is one where Senegal just made the most of their chances there. Okay, Senegal was the better team in the first half. All right, and it's just Poland couldn't get it done here. So, I mean, Senegal and Japan both up with 3 points. And, I mean, I think that's deserved. Both teams outplayed their counterparts today. Okay, you'd assume that Poland and Colombia, who are the better teams on paper, would come out with wins or at least decent results, but it wasn't. They weren't able to do it. All right, so like I said, I mean, let's say that Colombia ends up beating Poland. Most likely Poland's out of this tournament, I'd say. Okay, unless, yeah, they're out, I'd feel. All right, statistically, I think that's the way it would go. All right, but nonetheless, I mean, Senegal, it's a dark horse team for me. Okay, and I do think they probably will end up making out this group. I think it's going to come down to Poland, Japan, and Colombia for another spot there. So we'll see what ends up going down. Nonetheless, like I said, right now you got Russia up 3-0 on Egypt. Russia's just scoring all kinds of goals. Curious to see how they play against Uruguay, given the fact that Russia looks pretty good right now so far in these first 2 games. Granted, it is Saudi Arabia and it is Egypt. And poor Mo Salah hasn't been able to do much here. Russia's had a decent game plan, but nonetheless, like I said, we'll talk about that in the 4th segment. Next up, we're going to be talking about Kawhi Leonard and the teams that he could go to, which see who could beat the Warriors there. All right, so stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. We talked about Poland, Senegal in the first segment, along with Japan, Colombia. Both Poland and Colombia were upset. I don't really consider Poland versus Senegal an upset. All right, I understand that Senegal was ranked, 27th, I think, in the FIFA rankings, Poland at 8th. But nonetheless, Senegal does have a very good team, and they shouldn't be slept on. All right, everyone should pay attention to the quality that they got. It should know that Senegal could be a decent team. All right. Of course, like I said, Poland on paper probably do have a decent squad, but I wasn't really shocked by the result or anything like that. If anything, I was a bit more surprised that Colombia versus Japan, but when you look more into the game and if you watched it and whatnot, I mean, James not starting due to a calf injury. Carlos Sanchez getting the red card in the, the first 3 minutes of the match. All right. Obviously not ideal there. So Colombia didn't really have much of a shot. Okay. But nonetheless, that's what we talked about. Like I said, we got some soccer going on in the fourth segment. But nonetheless, let's move over to the NBA here. So, Kawhi Leonard, we've talked about him already before and whatnot. But nonetheless, looking like he will be traded. It's just a matter of where's he going to go. Okay. LA was a team that their name has come up. And it seems like LA, the Lakers, talking about, always seem to come up in any free agent or trade rumors. I mean, LeBron, Paul George. Paul George, I think, is the one that they'll probably end up getting. But nonetheless, now it's Kawhi Leonard. It seems that with Kawhi Leonard, I think that this whole trade thing, it seems that I guess I'm doing it in air quotes here, but the reason why he wants to be traded is because he didn't like the way that they handled his injury and whatnot. Okay? Didn't trust him. And he's grown, pretty much feels betrayed. I think it's not that, okay? And again, I'm just speculating here. I'm just giving my 2 cents, giving a theory. But nonetheless, Kawhi Leonard, I think we could all say, is a top 5 player when he's out there, okay? I understand that we're all usually prisoners of the moment, but nonetheless, let's not forget what Kawhi brings out to the basketball court, all right? The dude's probably one of the best offensive players in the game and also one of the best defensive players in the game, if not the best defensive player. All right. Let me see. Let me check his stats real quick, see what he's done, just to give a little bit of a reference. Because like I said, people just seemingly forgot about Kawhi Leonard, all right, while he was injured. So let's see. He 2016-2017 finished with 25 points. 2015-2016 finished with 21 points. Years before that, he wasn't really much of a focal point in the Spurs offense, given the fact that you still had good old Timmy Duncan out there, Tony Parker and Manu and all those guys who were still playing pretty well. All right, but nonetheless, when it was time for Kawhi to take over, he did. All right, and he's been a very solid player. Let me see what we can find. Let's see. He's got a 2-time All-Star. Already got a title. All right, has he never won Defensive Player of the Year? I guess he has. I don't know. I feel like he should have. I might just be missing that. But nonetheless, we all know Kawhi Leonard, when he's out there, one of the best 5 players in the league. Okay. I'd say it goes LeBron, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard. Actually, I'd go James Harden after Durant. I don't know. James Harden is definitely a better scorer, but there's the point where it's kind of like a give and take, okay? James Harden is by far the better scorer than Kawhi. I don't know. Is by far a little too out there. All right? I'd say, without a doubt, yeah, James Harden's the better scorer. But with Kawhi Leonard, you're not really losing much comparing the two. And plus, you're getting a way better defensive player. So you know what? I'd say, given that Kawhi Leonard is more of a complete player, I'd say that Kawhi Leonard is probably the 3rd best player in the NBA. Then I'd put James Harden 4th. And then I'd guess I'd have to go with Steph Curry, unless I'm just completely missing someone. Maybe like an Anthony Davis type or something like that. But nonetheless, yeah, definitely for me, Kawhi Leonard's a top 5 player. And no matter where he goes, he's going to go to a team. They're going to get better just instantly with him on the court. All right. So as far as the teams, like the Lakers would need a lot more. They'd need LeBron and Paul George to end up there if they were ever to beat the Warriors with Kawhi Leonard. All right. And it seems that the Spurs necessarily don't want to trade Kawhi to the Lakers. All right. Obviously, they've had their rivalry and all front offices and all that. And nonetheless, I mean, I saw a report. I think it was, I can't remember exactly who sent out the report. It might have been Chris Mannix or even Adrian Wojnarowski. I have to double check. But nonetheless, pretty much the Spurs don't want to deal with Alonzo Ball type. Okay. And it seems that the trade package that the Spurs would need to get in order for the Lakers to get Kawhi Leonard would be pretty much 2 out of the 3 of Kuzma, Ingram, and Lonzo, and then a bunch of picks. Okay. Well, obviously, with the Lakers not wanting, or with the Spurs not wanting Lonzo, if that report is true, all right, then it's down to Ingram and Kuzma. And I don't think the Lakers are really too keen on getting rid of Ingram, given the fact that it seems he's going to be a very good player. All right, rookie year kind of looked so-so. Second year, definitely you saw something there. You saw more than something. You saw pretty much a unstoppable scorer type of thing in the making. All right, and he's kind of got that little Kevin Durant type of body, meaning he's about 10 feet tall, but only about weighs maybe a solid 100 pounds. Okay? And it's just, he's too lengthy to the point where you can't guard the guy. And I'm, like I said, I'm watching the Russia-Egypt game right now. Right now, Egypt gets a penalty. It's looking like Mo Salah got taken down in the box. Come back for Egypt, who knows? But nonetheless, getting back to the Kawhi Leonard thing. Yeah, like I said, I mean, you're not going to want to give up Ingram, I'd say. Kuzma, I'm sure you're fine with parting, given the fact that you'd have a trio of LeBron, Paul George, and Kawhi. And I'm guessing if Kawhi ends up with the Lakers, then Paul George and LeBron are locks to go there. All right, but nonetheless, I guess this is all LeVar Ball's fault if the Lakers can't get Kawhi and the Spurs really don't want Lonzo because of the drama. All right, and the Spurs are probably the best run organization in all of sports, but so I understand why you wouldn't want Alonzo Ball. And obviously, if you're the Spurs, some people are saying, oh, Kawhi wouldn't want to go here. Kawhi wouldn't want to go there. Kawhi doesn't have a say in where he's going. He doesn't have a no-trade clause, okay? And if I'm the Spurs, I might even feel a little betrayed from Kawhi Leonard. Okay, something like this has never really happened, all right, in this organization. And it's kind of weird. We're starting to see more and more stories about the Spurs and Patriots come out. All right, obviously with the tension between Brady and Belichick and this one with Kawhi Leonard. Usually these teams are more so kept quiet and there's no real internal problems. All right, but I do think that it is a point where Kawhi Leonard just wants to go play. He wants to go play in a big market. All right, like I said, he's one of the top 5 players in the league, and you're not going to be really getting that big endorsement money or anything like that playing in San Antonio. Okay, you're not going to get all that exposure. I mean, honestly, we all know, at least I hope we all know, that Kawhi Leonard's a top 5 player. But does ESPN or any of those top media markets really cover Kawhi the way they do Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron, the way they did Kobe or anything like that, James Harden? All right? They don't. Kawhi Leonard, they regard him as a very great player, but he doesn't get that same exposure. Okay? And I think he was trying to work a new deal with, I believe it was Nike, or is it Jordan, or it might be a mixture of both or whatnot, that type of brand thing or what, and all that. But Nike was offering him way less than what he wanted as far as an endorsement deal. And it was basically because of the fact that you play in San Antonio, okay? There's no big market there. And I think that's all it is here, because I've seen the Knicks name come up. I've seen the Lakers name come up. What do they have in common? Both huge markets out here as far as sports goes. Okay, I've also seen the Celtics name come up. Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN is seemingly trying to put that out there. All right, like the Celtics are basically, it seems like he thinks the Celtics would be the favorites to get Kawhi Leonard. He doesn't think the Lakers, just given the fact that they don't want Lonzo Ball, and we've never really seen the Spurs and Lakers do business together given the fact that they've been rivals for about, 20 years? Okay? So nonetheless, I mean, if you were to go to Boston, I'd say that maybe because I don't see the Celtics giving up Jason Tatum, nor should they. I understand it's for Kawhi Leonard, but Jason Tatum I feel is a star in the making. All right, I'd probably see them giving up maybe a package of Jaylen Brown and a bunch of picks, okay? Possibly Jaylen Brown and Terry Rozier I could see happening, and I think the Spurs would be fine with that. All right, Jaylen Brown, Terry Rozier, maybe the Kings pick next year. I mean, that's a solid the Kings pick and the Memphis pick coming up. That's a solid little package right there. You got Terry Rozier, who I think is due to start in the NBA. I think he does need to maybe venture out and see what he could find out there. Obviously, this is the last year with the Celtics. I'd say that he's going to get traded either way, Rozier, because, I mean, he does have value there if you saw him in the playoffs. All right, then you got Jaylen Brown, who could be a superstar, as long as he gets that jump shot a little bit more consistent. I mean, we've seen he could play in the playoffs and perform well. And then, like I said, you'd get maybe a top 7 pick with a Kings pick next year, and Memphis doesn't seem like they're going to be any good anytime soon. I think that's top 7 protected, so anything outside of there you'd get. All right. So I think that's probably the best case scenario for the Spurs is to trade with the Celtics, given that you could probably get more than them. And I think the Celtics realize that they're going to kind of have to overpay given that they have all these assets, all right? No one's really going to try and get a bare minimum from the Celtics given the fact that they have all these things here, all right? So it's going to be very interesting to see. I mean, if you were to go to the Lakers, you need LeBron and Paul George there for them to beat the Warriors. And even then, I mean, is it a lock for them to beat the Warriors, given the fact that you had Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay, Draymond Green, who've seemingly played together for... And that's another thing, too. It's not just Kawhi goes to the Lakers with LeBron and Paul George and everything's good. Okay, these guys need to play together and get acclimated to each other. This Warriors team's been playing with each other for about 5-6 years. All right, just added in Kevin Durant 2 years ago, and it seems like he's adapted very well to that squad. So, I mean, it's a big difference there, a chemistry thing that usually is very important. So, it's going to be very interesting to see. Like I said, I'd like to see him over with the Celtics. I mean, Brad Stevens and Kawhi Leonard, basically like a young Greg Popovich with Kawhi Leonard. All right, I think that'd work. I mean, Celtics will probably roll out a starting 5 of, let's see, it'd be Kyrie, Hayward, Kawhi, Tatum, Horford. I mean, that's a great team right there. All right, so it'll be, like I said, real interesting to see what ends up happening there. But nonetheless, I mean, that's all I got to pretty much say. Like I said, I don't think it's a matter of he feels betrayed by the Spurs. I mean, again, this is my opinion. That could be it. I just think it's a matter of the guy wants to go play in a big market. All right, why not go and make all that money? And as he should. I mean, Kawhi Leonard has always been the quiet type of guy. It seems like now maybe he's trying to make that big buck. So we'll see what ends up going down. But we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be highlighting some young players in the NFL, like guys like Kamara and all that, and talking about pretty much the years they could have this season and pretty much where they are as far as top players in the NFL. So stay tuned for that, and I will be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to Extreme Cage Fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked Senegal versus Poland. We've talked Japan versus Colombia. Both upsets there. Again, I'm going to tell you, they probably shouldn't be. Obviously, they're going to be regarded as upsets and whatnot, but I don't think they were big surprises, all right? Japan going up against Colombia, maybe was one, but I feel like Senegal versus Poland wasn't much of one, all right? Senegal and Poland aren't really that far off. I mean, of course, if you're paying attention to the FIFA rankings, then yeah, they are. But if you've seen both teams play, then I'd say it's not really that shocking, all right? The commentators on Fox were trying to play it up as if it was a big upset. I don't necessarily think so. I just think that Senegal is one of those teams that's very severely underrated, all right? But nonetheless, they ended up picking up wins there. Second segment, we talked about Kawhi Leonard, him ending up with the Lakers as a possibility, what they need to do in order to beat the Warriors, and we talked about the possibility of him ending up with the Celtics. And I also just think it's a matter of he wants to leave because he wants to play in a bigger market, all right? San Antonio necessarily isn't that great of a market, all right? So we'll see what ends up happening. It seems that he's not going to be traded at the draft or before the draft, so, I mean, I guess kind of, I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening with them. I'll just say that. All right. Well, nonetheless, now we're going to talk about some up-and-coming players in the NFL. And I mean, looking at this 2017 draft class, there's a lot of players who basically are already regarded as top players at their position, all right, or near top players at their position. Like Marshawn Lattimore, you could argue maybe is the best cornerback in the league. I wouldn't say that, but it's just more so like top 5 type players here already, all right? Marshawn Lattimore, Jamal Adams played well for the Jets, Leonard Fournette, okay, Myles Garrett played well for the Browns. He missed a bunch of games. I missed 5 games, I think it was. Missed 4 games, but nonetheless did well. All right, let's see who else played well this season. Evan Ingram was a solid tight end for the Giants. Tre'Davious White playing like one of the better cornerbacks in the league. T.J. Watt was pretty much a monster from the start for the Steelers. Okay, I mean Kareem Hunt, guys like that. There, it's ridiculous how good this NFL draft class was. I'd say, let's see, out of the 32 picks in the 2017 first round. Let's see, how many of them were hits? I'd say Myles Garrett was 1. Trubisky was a solid one. I like Solomon Thomas. Okay, Fournette, that's already 4. Corey Davis, still got to wait and see on him. Jamal Adams, that's 5. McCaffrey, 6. Lattimore, 7. Deshaun Watson, 8. All right, Derek Barnett, 9. Malik Hooker ended up getting hurt, so we're not sure about him. Marlon Humphrey, 10. All right, I'm not going to go through it all. I'm just saying that there's a lot of solid players in this first round. A lot of guys that you're more so looking to take the next step here in this second year. Guys like David Njoku, right? This guy I expect to have a bit of a breakout type season. All right, I don't know. Like, what would, like, is it a breakout season if you're having a great year in your second year of your NFL career? Or is it just more so waiting for a guy to develop? What would consist as a breakout season? I guess to the point where everyone regards you as far as being a top player in the league, or at your position, I should say. Possibly. But like I said, with David Njoku, all right, tight end out of Miami, last year he showed flashes of what he could do. I think I drafted on my fantasy team, but nonetheless, I thought he'd be a solid player with DeShone Kizer. Obviously, that didn't really happen given the fact that DeShone Kizer was maybe one of the worst quarterbacks for the Browns, and I don't really put that on Kizer given the fact that he probably shouldn't have been starting from the get-go. All right, but nonetheless, last year Njoku finished with 32 catches, 386 yards, 4 touchdowns. Wasn't really too involved, but nonetheless, he's got the makeup and the tools to become a solid tight end in this league. And I think this is the year where you'll maybe see a bit of a breakout type season from him, given the fact that his quarterback's going to be Tyrod Taylor. And looking at the Bills receiver leaders from last year with Tyrod Taylor as the quarterback, Charles Clay led them, I think, in catches and yards. All right, he was their leading receiver all season long, and obviously Tyrod Taylor's a guy who is going to check down to his tight end from time to time. So I do think David Njoku is going to have a big breakout season this season. And guys like Kareem Hunt, I mean, we can't even say Kareem Hunt's going to have a breakout season given the fact that he just tore it up in his rookie season. All right, and even then, so I mean, if you look at the game-by-game stats, he had a stretch where he didn't really do too much, and he still finished with 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. All right, let me see if I could find his game log right here. But nonetheless, like I said, I mean, the guy, like I said, went through a terrible stretch and finished with 1,300 yards. I mean, what more could you expect there? Okay. Kareem Hunt, I think this year probably will get a whole lot more touches than he did this past season. And I think it's a point where it's just up to Andy Reid. I remember that playoff game against the Titans. Kelsey goes down, so normally you'd give the ball to your best player on offense multiple times. That's Kareem Hunt, I feel, and he only got the ball 11 times in that game. All right. They only ran the ball, I think, a total of 15 times there, too, in that game. I don't really understand what was going through Andy Reid's mind, but it's just more so a point where it's Andy Reid, I guess. All right, Andy Reid always does tend to get in his own way, I'd say. All right. But I don't think, let's tell you, let's see, do we got his game logs here? I don't believe we do. All right. But nonetheless, Kareem Hunt definitely going to be a solid running back. Like, where would you regard Kareem Hunt as far as being a top running back in the league? All right. And it's difficult to talk about that just given the fact this guy's only played 1 year. Are we sure that this isn't just a one-trick pony type of guy where he's only playing good for 1 year and after that kind of goes down? I mean, I would say that's not going to happen given the fact that usually when a running back has a very good season, they tend to replicate it. Okay. And I mean, looking at this draft, looking at the running backs that were taken, let's see. You had Leonard Fournette in the first round, 4th pick. Very solid pick there. Christian McCaffrey was very good for the Panthers. All right, I think those were the only 2 running backs taken in the first round. Second round, let's see any running backs taken there. You had Dalvin Cook, also a very good running back before he tore his ACL. And it seems that even with him coming off of an ACL injury, the Vikings are going to try and get him a little bit way more involved in the offense, kind of centered around him type of thing. All right, so you got Dalvin Cook, who was very good. Joe Mixon, I felt, was decent with the Bengals. One who still needs time to develop, but of course, I think is going to end up being a solid running back for that team. All right, so I'd say that's 4 for 4 right now in running backs. All right, and like I said, heading to round 3, let's see. You had Alvin Kamara. I mean, already regarded by his peers as a very great player. If you've been paying attention to that NFL Top 100 list that NFL Network does, I think they had Kamara as number 20 on that list, and the dude's a rookie. All right, so very solid running back there. Let's see it. What other running backs do we got? We have Kareem Hunt, obviously. I mean, that's 5 for 5, 6 for 6, however many backs I just named as far as guys who performed well and were a big help to their team. All right, Kareem Hunt out of Toledo. Toledo isn't really necessarily a big football powerhouse that's pumping out talent all the time to the NFL draft. All right, then you had Dante Foreman, who did well with the Texans. All right, got some snaps out there. Didn't split time necessarily with Lamar Miller, but was their second running back. All right, then you had James Conner with Pittsburgh. He didn't really do too much, but that's difficult given the fact that you already got Le'Veon Bell out there. All right, Samaje Perine got some snaps with Washington, talking about the Redskins, but nonetheless wasn't. He did well in his first season, I'd say, for what he's taken. Tariq Cohen, who I think is going to have a huge breakout season this year, I feel did well last season. He's going to be a big fantasy player too. I'd say that you probably take him maybe even in the 5th, 6th round. I know it's a little bit high for Tariq Cohen, but I really do think he's going to thrive in that new offense with the Bears. All right, so I'd say Tariq Cohen was a solid pick there for the Bears. All right, nice little playmaker for them. Then you had DJ Pumphrey. He didn't really do anything with Philly. All right, wasn't really on the field too much, and I don't think that he was even active for most of the games there. I think he might have been injured also. All right, Jamal Williams did well for the Packers. Let's see. Wayne Gallman got some snaps with the Giants, had a nice little run of a couple of games. Marlon Mack could be the starting running back for the Colts this season. All right, he did well there. And I mean, we're only through the first 4 rounds, and like I said, we had a lot of talent from running backs. Let's see, any other running backs that we missed out on? Jerry McNichols got some snaps with the Bucks, did it well. All right, let's see. TJ Logan didn't really do much or anything with the Cardinals. Aaron Jones was okay with Green Bay. Elijah McGuire got some snaps with the Jets. All right, I think maybe he could have a bit of a bigger role in this offense now that, what is it? Is it Bilal Powell? No, Bilal Powell's still there, huh? Actually, they brought in Isaiah Crowell, so I'm not entirely sure about that. I don't think Isaiah Crowell is one of the better running backs in the league, so I think Elijah McGuire is probably still going to get some time, if anything, split time with Crowell. Let's see, any other running backs that we've missed that were notable? I'd say we're in round 7, so I doubt it now, but let's see. Yeah, I'd say no. But nonetheless, like I said, I mean, this was a real great running back draft as far as 2017 goes. All right, Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, Alvin Kamara, all guys that are regarded as top players at their position, or at least going to be top guys at their position. All right, so we'll see what ends up going down. Let's see, any receivers that we missed out on in this draft that really tore it up as far as their first season this past year. Off the top of my head, I can't. Actually, it wasn't really necessarily a good one for the first round guys. All right, Corey Davis didn't really show up till that Patriots matchup in the playoffs. Mike Williams was hurt all year. John Ross was hurt all year. All right, yeah, so I say there was only 3 receivers taken in the first round. They didn't really do much. All right, Zay Jones, I think, had a real poor year with the Bills. Curtis Samuel did fine, I feel, as a second option, third option for the Panthers. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's actually Juju Smith-Schuster probably the best receiver in this draft, unless I'm just completely forgetting about someone. Cooper Kupp did well with the Rams. All right, let's see. Didn't Trent Taylor get taken in this draft also by the 49ers? I feel like he was a very decent player for them. Kenny Golladay is a guy who could have a decent little breakout season with the Lions. Let's see. D.D. Westbrook, I feel, is going to be a very good player with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Matt Collins, I think Philly's very excited about him and what he could bring to this team. Let's see. Am I missing? I'm almost positive Trent Taylor came in this draft. But was it like a 5th round type of pick? Because I know you had George Kittle there. Let's see. I don't see him. He might have been in the 6th round, possibly. All right. Or he might have just been a second-year player. I can't remember exactly. But nonetheless, he's a guy who played pretty well for the 49ers. Might be a guy to watch out for with him and how do you say, Jimmy Garoppolo. All right. I just might have missed him altogether. But nonetheless, I mean, yeah, there's not really a lot of great receivers in this draft as far as guys who produced in their first season. So we'll see about that. But nonetheless, I'd say the 2017 draft was a very solid one. we're starting to see, too. I think it's just a matter of this new age of athletes is a whole lot better than the past one, all right? Guys are just ready to go for the jump. I mean, like I said, Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, all those guys. So we'll see what ends up happening this season, see if they can elevate themselves even more. But nonetheless, we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking about Brazil, Neymar leaving training with the ankle injury, what that means for them. Talking about Egypt versus Russia. Game's just about over here. Russia up 3-1 on Egypt right now. And like I said, anything else going on in the world of sports. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked about Russia, or we haven't talked about Russia, Egypt yet. We've talked about Senegal, Poland, and Colombia, Japan. We talked about Kawhi Leonard. We've also talked about the young players from last year's draft in the NFL. And now we're going to be talking about anything else going on in the lovely world of sports. All right, so let's talk about Neymar. Obviously, was injured in the Champions League round of 16, I believe it was, against Real Madrid, if I'm remembering it correctly. All right. And since then, was trying to recover, come back. Ended up playing in a couple of friendlies before the World Cup. Scored in one of them. Played in the opening group stage match against Switzerland. Could tell he was limping a bit and left Brazil training today due to an injury. All right. Not knowing whether or not he's going to be playing in their next matchup against Costa Rica. As far as like how this affects Brazil, I mean, I got to wait and see exactly if he's going to play against Costa Rica or whatnot. And I understand that Neymar is a big part of this Brazilian team, but nonetheless, I still think it's a team that should do fine without him. Okay, I get that's your best player and whatnot, but let's not act like Brazil, don't have the quality to do well going forward. All right. Their next matchup, let's see, is on the 22nd. That is 3 days from now on Friday. All right, against Costa Rica, 5 o'clock in the morning. Thank you, soccer gods, for that one. But nonetheless, like I said, I mean, you got the likes of Firmino, Jesus, Willian, Coutinho, Casemiro, Douglas Costa. Still very great players. All right. So I don't think it's really much like Brazil could use it as an excuse. Like Neymar's not here. Unless I'm just severely overestimating this team. All right, overrating this team, I should say. But nonetheless, it is a bit of a problem, I'd say. As far as like going forward, I mean, it'd be a problem. Like, let's say you have to match up with a Germany, you have to match up with let's say Spain or anything like that. Normally, you would need a Neymar out there, just given the fact that he can affect the game like that. But as far as like when I say like, I don't think they'll miss Neymar as far as playing like a Costa Rica or Serbia. At least they shouldn't. Okay, this Brazil team is good enough to where you should beat a bad Costa Rica team. You should be a decent Serbia team. Even like I said, even though Neymar's out. All right, Serbia. I'm not going to say they're a bad team, but nonetheless, I mean they don't have near the quality of a Brazil. And I feel like Serbia's a bit of a slow team, given that they got a lot of older players out there. Okay. So as far as this, I mean, does it affect them going forward? We still got to wait and see exactly if Neymar's even going to miss the next game and if he's going to miss extended time. Okay, if not, then I think Brazil are fine, but this is something to keep your eye on. All right, so we'll see what ends up happening there. Russia and Egypt just went final. Russia ended up winning 3-1. I mean, Russia's looked good so far in this tournament. And I understand that it's just Russia, or it's just Saudi Arabia and Egypt that they've played. But, I mean, they're playing solid soccer out here. All right. So let's see. We started out the game in the 47th minute, had an own goal from Egypt. And there's been 6 own goals, I think, so far this tournament. What did they say? We had an own goal today in the Senegal game, too. Did we have an own goal in the Japan game? I don't think we did. All right. But nonetheless, let's see if we could go through and see exactly how many games have had an own goal. Which games had the own goal? I think it was, let's see, did we have one in the opening matchup between Russia and Saudi Arabia? I don't believe so. I could be wrong about that. All right. And yeah, we didn't there. Let's see. Egypt versus Uruguay, no. We did have one in Morocco, Iran. France and Australia, we did. That's the one that France ended up winning off of. Let's see. Croatia, Nigeria had one, so that's already 3 own goals. All right. Was it, let's see. Did Belgium and Panama have one? No, I didn't. It did not. All right. Like I said, we had one in Senegal. And we had one today in Russia and Egypt. So that's about, 5, 6 own goals that we've had so far in this tournament. It's a bit odd that we've had so many own goals. But nonetheless, let's talk about the game. All right. I thought that Egypt were going to play well. I mean, they started out the first half playing well. All right. Ended up 0-0, defending well. And the second half comes, and it's just in the matter of 15 minutes, they gave up 3 goals. Okay. The own goal in the 47th minute. Then Denis Cherchev ends up scoring in the 59th minute. And then 3 minutes later, you got Artem Dzyuba scoring, which made it 3-0. All right. Egypt made a couple of subs after that. You got Mo Salah getting fouled in the box, ends up scoring a penalty in the 73rd minute. Cherchev and Dzyuba come off, the 2 goal scorers for Russia. And basically Russia sits back. Didn't really have to do much after that. They end up winning 3-1, like I said. All right. And like I said, people are going to try and discredit Russia given the fact that it's been Egypt and Saudi Arabia. But when you're out here playing well, executing a game plan, and basically taking the other team out of the game, I mean, you can't really get mad at it there. All right, looking at the stats of this matchup, I mean, Egypt did have more possession by about 2%. They finished with 51% possession. They did have more shots, 2 more shots. They finished with 13 total shots. It's just they couldn't get any on target. All right, Russia finished with 11 total shots. 3 of them were on target. 2 of them were goals by them. Like I said, Egypt did have an own goal in this one. All right, first half, Russia took 8 shots, had 1 on target. Egypt took 5-0 on target. Second half, Egypt was the more attacking team. All right, finished with 8 shots, only 1 on target. And then Russia only had 3 shots there. So it's just a matter of Russia was trying to, I don't know. Like the game, like I said, started with 0-0 in the second half, and it's just Russia jumped out to a big lead in 15 minutes. All right. Now they got a game against Uruguay next. That's going to be the final game of their group stage. I'm almost positive it's going to be Uruguay and Russia making it out. I think if Uruguay ends up winning tomorrow, then they will make it out, and they're playing Saudi Arabia, so I don't see why they draw there. I mean, that'd be probably the biggest shock ever in the World Cup if Saudi Arabia got points against Egypt or against Uruguay, wouldn't it? I mean, given the fact that Saudi Arabia is one of the worst teams in this World Cup, and Uruguay are a dark horse type team, who knows? All right, but nonetheless, like I said, I mean, I did pick Egypt to make it out this group. Maybe I believed a little bit too much in Mo Salah, all right? But I did underestimate this Russian team, and I think they gave me a reason to underestimate too, though, given the fact, like I said, they weren't really the most dominant team as far as their World Cup tune-ups coming into the tournament, all right? But nonetheless, I mean, they're playing like a complete team. The tactics have been well, all right? They're playing well in front of their home fans, and now it's just a matter of can they win the group, all right? It's a possibility. I mean, we got to see how Uruguay looks tomorrow. I expect them to win, but that's not going to be enough. I want to see Suarez and the team pretty much play well. Suarez in that first match against, who was it against? Egypt. Yeah, against Egypt, didn't really do too much. Cavani was more of the active striker. Defenders played well. Midfield was all right. All right, so it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how Uruguay looks against this Russian team. And like with Russia, they're more of a counter-attacking type team. And I think that style doesn't necessarily work against Uruguay, given that I think Uruguay as a team likes to play from the back up, more so organized and stuff like that. So you're not really going to have too many opportunities there. So it's going to be very interesting. But nonetheless, I want to see exactly how Suarez plays tomorrow. It's not just a matter of, you got to tap it or whatever, but how active he was in the box, all right, were they playing through him the entire time and whatnot. Just given the fact, I mean, it's not really a good measuring stick to see them play against Uruguay. All right. So we'll see what ends up going down there. Let's see anything else going on in the world of sports. Arsenal signing Leverkusen keeper Bernard Leno. I think it's a very solid pickup there. I mean, Petr Cech seems to be on the outside looking in now as far as his career. Let's see what else is going on. Like I said, Colombia ended up losing today. Let's see. Anything else that we are currently missing? I mean, we've talked about the whole Julio Jones stuff. Obviously, like I said, the Falcons aren't necessarily too happy with the fact that he's over there working out with Terrell Owens, and that's completely understandable. Why would you? It's one of the most selfish players in the history of the NFL. Browns ended up signing Greg Robinson, I believe, for depth at the O-line. I mean, he was a second pick of the draft, I think, 2015, something like that. So, maybe. He got picked there for a reason. Maybe the Browns could turn him into a decent player. All right, let's see what else we got going on. Anything in the NBA? We're just pretty much waiting for free agency. Got the draft coming up. It seems like the first two picks are going to be DeAndre Ayton to the Suns and then Marvin Bagley to the Kings. I like Bagley to the Kings if that does happen. I think the Kings would roll out starting five of maybe Fox, Bogdanovich, Bagley. You'd probably go with Zach Randolph and Willie Cauley-Stein, but I'm sure Harry Giles is going to get a lot of minutes this season. I know the Kings are very excited about him. Fans also very excited about him. I feel like they hype up Giles a little bit too much, but they're expecting him to be like the next best thing for that team. So there's that. Obviously, you figured Luka Doncic would go top 2, but who knows? Maybe he'll fall to number 3, 4, or whatnot. So we'll see what ends up going down there. But we're going to wrap it up here. Today we talked about the 3 World Cup games. Talked about Neymar leaving Brazil training. Talked about Kawhi Leonard, and also talked about some of the younger players from the 2017 draft that played well. And expect them to do well this upcoming season. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. I will be back tomorrow, so I'll talk to you guys later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.